As you may know, Vet the Vote has NASCAR events at NASCAR. They also do football games, and today you have a Butte kid as a master of ceremony, so congratulations on being at the most fun type of Vet the Vote event. My name's Austin James, and I'm proud to be here as the Secretary's Elections Director. Our freedoms that you have fought for and have died for take significant place at the ballot box. It is a sacrifice that both serving domestically and abroad is very important at a pivotal time in our country. Our country needs folks, and more importantly, our country needs you. Our citizens need confidence in the process, and our adversaries who are intent on undermining the democratic process as soft warfare is at a pivotal moment. Those people help make sure the voters are qualified to vote, help make sure that they can vote efficiently, ensure that votes count, and ensure that experience is safe and safeguards accurate results for confidence by the Republic. And Montana needs those willing to serve, and no one is greater to serve than those who have served our country. And that brings us to today, where we have a great program with our wonderful Secretary of State, veterans organizations, Vet the Vote, who's all the way here from Houston, and even our Lewis and Clark County election officer to be able to talk about what you would do as a poll worker in a county. And as we begin, I'm going to introduce one of the most incredible people I've ever had the opportunity to meet, a leader who loves this country and this state tirelessly, and who works for us especially in the business community and making elections set the bar and the standard for security, integrity, and accessibility. Your Montana Secretary of State, Christi Jacobsen.
Thank you so much, Austin, and thank you for leading our elections. We've really upped our game since Austin has taken over as the elections director. He is an amazing leader, and he's brought a ton of energy and new ideas to our elections division at the Secretary of State's office. And I just want to acknowledge the other folks here with us. Susan Ames is our office manager, and she was in charge of the facility and providing treats and just making this a really nice event. So I wanted to thank you, Sue, for the great work on this. Julie Lake, next to Sue. Angela Nunn is our deputy, and she's the one that took kind of the lead on the partnership with the Vet the Vote. And Ray is also a vet, and he works in our elections division, and we're very grateful that you're with us today as well, Ray. And Lisa Riedlinger is our project manager, and she's been helping out with the elections team as well. So just wanted to thank our staff. Oh, and how can I forget our awesome Richie Melby over there with the camera. He will be covering all of the great messaging we're doing today, and hopefully getting it out beyond everybody here in the room today. So just a really great thank you to everybody. And then a very heartfelt thanks to all of our vets. The vets, I come from a family where we have had, my son is served in the National Guard, and I'm just very grateful to all of you who have served or are serving, and all of the sacrifices that you give up for our freedoms and for our country. So just super important to me that we continue to partner and serve the vets in our state, in our wonderful state. And who better than the vets to be working as a poll worker and protecting our elections. So that's what the purpose of this is today, is just to get the Vet the Vote and hopefully get vets to volunteer as poll workers. And you can do that by signing up on our website. And we encourage all of the vets to participate in that. National Poll Worker Recruitment Day was August 1st, and Montana joined thousands of election officials nationwide in encouraging citizens to register and become poll workers and educating about the process. We have a video out on our website that covers numerous election topics, but one of them is the poll workers. So I encourage everybody also to check out our website. That has a ton of information out there, and will answer any question you may possibly have about our elections. I heard from the counties that there was a need for poll workers, and that was sort of the reason why we've partnered with Vet the Vote and started to get the message out. And we also have computers here if anybody wants to sign up for the poll working, you can go to our website, and certainly not just vets, but everybody. And our goal is just to make sure that the counties are fully staffed with poll workers and that we're ready on Election Day, which is, believe it or not, just around the corner. I also want to remind eligible Montana voters to register and check their voter registration. Again, that's all on our website. You can access that, and if you vote absentee, you can just make sure that your address is up to date. If you vote in person, you will have information as to where to go to vote on Election Day. And Election Day is November 5th. Ballots will be sent out October 11th. So this is just, our election is coming upon us very quickly. Voter applications are also available to all of you today. And if you have an organization that wants voter applications, please let us know. We're happy to send those to whoever might need voter applications. So I just, again, want to thank all of you for being here and getting the message out. So thank you so much.
Is it me?
Live from Houston, Texas.
Not quite. Thank God I'm up here. All right. Thank you, Secretary Jacobsen. We are incredibly excited to launch this partnership. I also want to thank Elections Director Austin James, who apparently wears two hats and does a lot of work around here in the great state of Montana. Our team also wants to thank all of our veterans that are here today. You all have given us the freedom to vote and the freedom to participate in our civic duty. And I want to say thank you for your service, as well as the service of the family members. As the secretary said, she is the mom of a service member, and as a mom whose sons are trying to join the military currently, so I feel like that's harder. As also a soldier who deployed and also stayed home while my husband deployed, I felt like being home was harder. So thank you to all of those family members who have supported their service members in their journey to support and defend our Constitution. As the Secretary mentioned, we are excited to launch this partnership with the state of Montana. My name is Loren Westerfield. I got a little ahead of myself. I am the Deputy Director of Vet the Vote. I am in Houston, Texas, and I work nationally and also locally as the state kind of lead for Texas. Vet the Vote is a nationwide initiative to recruit veterans and military family members to serve their community again as poll workers. So I wanted to share a story about an Italian immigrant who in World War II era came before a judge, and the judge said, "Why should we allow you to be a citizen?" She was applying for her citizenship. And she said, "Well, my 4 sons are serving in the war for America." So she had come from Italy, who was clearly an enemy of the United States, and 3 of her sons were in the Army, and 1 was in the Marine Corps. You always have to have one of those Marine Corps crazy people, right? So of those 4 sons, one of them was a bombardier, and he worked 24 missions before he was shot down, which, if you know anything about missions and World War II, after the 25th, you were allowed to go home because you had gotten so much flack and so much damage. He was shot down and became a prisoner of war. He was, if you've watched any of the new series with Austin Butler on Apple TV Plus, that was where this gentleman kind of was, in one of those POW camps. He contracted a disease which made it slow for him to be able to move when they had them moving because the Allied forces were getting close. And he knew he either had to escape or he was going to be shot for being too slow. You don't escape a POW camp. But this soldier did. He was in the Army Air Corps. That soldier was my great-grandfather. He escaped as a prisoner of war and made it back to America 2 weeks before the rest of his squadron after he escaped. Those boys, those children of that woman who stood before the judge, they decided to get in the game. They decided to enlist. They didn't wait to be called up. They didn't squabble about which side they were going to be on after their heritage. They knew that America was worth fighting for. And we're asking our veterans to do that, to get back in the game, to continue to serve by being poll workers, by ensuring you're registered to vote, by being educated on voter issues for veterans in your state and in your local area. Today, the country needs veterans and military family members to serve again at a moment when many are questioning whether it's possible for Americans to work together across lines. We need veterans and military family members to join their neighbors and community members and show what it is for America of all backgrounds, Americans of all backgrounds and views, to work together for any common cause. I know that veterans and military family members want to serve again. When I transitioned out of the Army, like so many others, I missed that sense of service, that camaraderie, that feeling as though I was part of something bigger. I actually worked in project management for an oil and gas company for a few years, and then decided that that was not where I wanted to spend my time. If I had to be away from my kids for 40, 50, 60 hours a week, I wanted it to be for something important. And that's when I got involved with, I actually worked for the USO before I joined Vet the Vote. So serving again our family members and our service members in their greatest time of need. I found that when I got involved with the veterans groups and service projects in my local community, that I had that feeling again, that it was worth it, that it wasn't just about the 1st and the 15th. I wasn't just waiting for my paycheck, but I was actually excited to get up in the morning. I was excited to get on an airplane and come to Montana, not just for the weather, but seriously because I am excited about this program. There's no better way to feel that sense of service than to be a poll worker. Elections in America are run at the local level. So you may understand your local elections. I understood mine until I started talking to all of these wonderful states and realized they're all very different, which is great because that actually helps to keep everything integrated and keep the integrity of our elections solid and sound, because the states are in charge of that, because we have amazing election officials who know what their states are doing and do that job. One of the most important sacred things we do as a nation is run right here by elections professionals, working hard, hand in hand, with all of our folks from the community who step up to serve. Again, I want to thank everybody who's here today. We will be sharing this. We've had over 500 veterans from Montana sign up as interested in poll working. So yeah, that's incredible. Now, questions about that, and I'm happy to take questions afterwards. I think a couple of you have already hit me up with questions, but the elections officials for the local counties do have to choose those, and sometimes, you know, the different party affiliates are or leaders are involved in that. Every state is a little bit different, and even every county is a little bit different based on how many election workers they need. Veterans are not getting preference on becoming poll workers, but they are seen as a highly trusted entity and highly trusted people. So by having veterans working those elections, we can tell America that our elections are being run by people you trust. They can make their own decisions after that, but that is the story that we're here to tell. Thank you all so much, and I'll be over here. We've got pens and pins and a couple other things that I'd love to give you guys after this. Thank you. Back to you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your story. We're really excited about a partnership, and I think you can see why. We're going to move on to our next on the agenda, Matt Manning from the Montana Veterans Affairs. Thank you for being here.
First off, on behalf of Montana Veteran Affairs Division, I just want to say thank you for your service, number one. Not everybody steps up and answers that call. And for wearing the uniform, and as well for the families like you highlighted on. I think the families sacrifice a lot more than we do. I'm a retiree. I did almost 21 years in the Air Force. So a big thank you to the family members and the children. A lot of moving parts. They're moving all the time. It's a lot of transition. It's a lot of sacrifice, and the kids still see it nowadays. You know, I know my kids do. I oversee your state veteran cemetery program, but the reason why we're here is for Vet the Vote. Why do you think they're seeking this demographic? Why do you think they're coming for the veterans to say, hey, we need your assistance? Well, we answered our nation's call when they needed us. It's the same thing. Our counties and our state needs us now as well. And like she was saying, we're a trusted entity. We bring a lot of integrity to the mix, as well as, you know, it's a very diverse political landscape right now. So, you know, it's nice to have your veterans or your police officers volunteering at these polling stations just to ensure that there's no issues. In my opinion, you know, that's what I would say. But it's important. You're an important entity, and we'd love to have you there. If you have time, please donate it to the polling stations. It'd be great. So a couple takeaways. I would just say thank you for your service, number one. Number two, get out and vote. And number three, if you have time, please come to the polling stations and help out. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Connor Fitzpatrick from Lewis and Clark County.
I'm just the supervisor, the poor man with a plan who gets to run around insane during all of these. So thank you all. First and foremost, thank you for your service. My dad is a retired Air National Guardsman for Montana, so I remember growing up, he went to Katrina to help with recovery efforts over there. Got to work through Wilma, which came shortly thereafter, and yeah, it's honestly kind of inspired me to get involved however I can as well. Before I started in elections, I was working as a contractor with the Air Force Reserve. I saw that there was a local need at the Lewis and Clark County Elections Office, and I thought, okay, yeah, I have a master's degree in political science. Let's throw it at the wall, see what happens. Oh my God, have I never made a better decision in my life. I get to nerd out every day with this job. I get to see people from all walks of life, and most of those people are poll workers for us. There is no way, and I am not exaggerating, there is no way we could do Election Day without poll workers, without people who are willing to step up and go, hey, I want to be there on Election Day. I want to be the person that the voter comes in and engages with. I want to be the person that checks their ID, makes sure that everything is square in the system, that everything's good to go. I want to give them their ballot and see, you know, here you go. And then, oh yeah, I get a vote, let's go. Like, just getting to deal with voters, you know, the negative ones can make it tiring, but then you get that one that's like, yes, I am so happy to be doing this. And it just reinvigorates you, I swear. I'm not kidding on that. It's wild, it's great, it's wacky. So poll working, we'll get down to basics here. We do a 3-hour training for poll workers here in Lewis and Clark County. I'm looking to do one in September. We've already got all kinds of folks that are interested through a variety of avenues, Vet the Vote being one of them that I keep seeing come through our inbox here, Power the Polls, Secretary of State's new portal. It's fantastic to see people interested. Poll working comes down to you are the face of the polling place. The voter checks in with you, goes, here's my ID, am I in the register, show me where to sign, issue me my ballot, and then show me where to place that ballot. Show me how to complete the action that is democracy. But it's not just that as well. We do take elections judges to help us out in the office. There are excluding the election administrator who wears several different hats for the county, there are 3 full-time staff in Lewis and Clark County elections, and we serve just over 40,000 voters. There's a lot of work to do at any given moment. there's even more to do during a general election, especially a presidential general election. Sign up, please. I will do my darndest to find you a spot. We always need people. Every county I've talked to still needs people. Please sign up. We'll get you trained. We'll get you roped in however we can. And if you somehow don't get roped in for this election, 2026 is another federal election year. Sign up then. Every county does their trainings earlier in the year, typically. They do their first rounds sometime between February and April in preparation for the primary election. So if you sign up early, you'll get to know when the training is, where it's at, and you'll be ready to go sooner. But we'll try to work in as many people as we can because it's an important one. There's a lot of wild things going on locally, countrywide, internationally. So the more folks we have that are a known quantity, that are known to be willing to step up and help out, and that we're not going to be sitting there wondering, okay, is there any kind of partisan background here? People who are just ready to go and just do the process is always appreciated. If you have any questions, I'll be floating around, but otherwise, thank you for your service, and thank you for being interested in being a poll worker, and thank you for the vote and Secretary of State's office for setting this up. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce this next guest. He always has some energy, and a pleasure to see him around. Sam Redfern and Abigail Mackey with the Montana Veterans Association. Sam is their president, and Abigail is the public affairs.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, good morning. Thank you all for being here today on this beautiful sunny day in Montana. Here in the summer, you could be doing anything, but you're here for this wonderful event put on by Christi and her great staff. Thank you. My name is Sam Redfern. I'm going to be really short because Abigail Mackey, our PAO, is going to cover 3 critical points. Our organization is called Montana Veterans Association, and we have been really active in get out the vote operations. We've been active since 2020 in that. We reached 33,000 veterans in 2020 in Montana. We built what we think is the largest veterans database in the state. We've got about 78,000 veterans in that database, and we know in Montana there's about 150,000 Montanans that are military, veteran, or affinity, what we call affinity for some of you data nerds. And so that means they're connected, deeply connected to our vet community. What we've learned in that process, we had 47,000 get out the vote operations, 47,000 vets reached in 2022, and that's doors, calls, texts, and some events. Montana, as you know, is a very patriotic state. Some say the most patriotic state. Who agrees here? Montana's the most. All right. So what makes Montana great is veterans are the #1. We have the #1 per capita state in veterans populations. That might be part of why we're so patriotic. And I know our great Secretary of State and her staff know that the veterans are a key component of the fabric of this great state. We did a little poll, what we call poll watching at the time. It's now poll working is the terminology, poll observers. We've had different terms over the years. We had 50 in 22. We have 83 recruited this year. And you have 500 Montana veterans, which is impressive. I want to highlight last week we were doing door ops, and one of our newest field operators, Joshua, did 358 doors in his first day. And he came from a veteran father. He never got to serve, and so he wanted to get out there and talk to vets and hit the doors. Leave you with 2 thoughts. We think of the color purple in Montana being our huckleberries, right? I want to reflect back on, maybe some of you remember this, the idea of purple in Iraq. And what that color purple meant, do you guys remember the fingerprints? What it meant was the first chance that those citizens ever had to vote in their lifetimes. And in a safe and somewhat secure election, not perfect, but it was the first election. And I remember my little nieces here, my beautiful nieces, Ava and Viv. You can't vote yet, right? But someday your voice is going to be more powerful than mine, way more. And same for some of those Iraqi kids that I helped, and many of these great Montanans helped secure. They got to vote for the first time. We say that the sacrifice is worth it, and we didn't serve to be silenced. So veterans' voices and their kids and their nieces and their nephews are powerful. And thank you, Secretary, for empowering the veterans in Montana and standing with them and working with Vet the Vote and veteran organizations. Now, on a side note, as I introduce Abby Mackey is going to cover voter education, data utilization, election integrity. Just remember, when you're doing your poll watching, you might see the Army with the big Sharpies. You might see the Air Force with the $100 pens. Sorry, Matt. You're going to have the Navy veterans rock the vote to rock the boat, but the Marine guidance will be don't fill out those ballots with the crowns. Thank you all.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Secretary, for hosting this event. My name's Abigail Mackey, and I work as the Public Affairs Officer for Montana Veterans Association. And although I never served in the military, I come from generations of military service, from both my grandfather serving in World War II, to uncles in Vietnam, and to my brother and cousins who signed up to serve after 9/11. I appreciate the sacrifices they have made to preserve our freedoms here. Like no one else, veterans have a unique and valuable perspective on freedom that is paramount to elections. Veterans see our country's issues and struggles through a unique lens. They experience our nation in a manner unfamiliar to many citizens. They have a valuable perspective on the issues our countries face that few can. Because of this, Montana Veterans Association works with veterans to encourage them to take that perspective to the polls. About 12% of Montanans are veterans, and we have, if not one of the largest per capita veteran populations in the nation. That's huge. That's amazing for Montana. You combine this with the individuals in veteran families like Lauren spoke about, and this is one of the largest voting blocs. Veterans have the power to decide the elections locally and nationally. Their voice is more important than ever. At Montana Veterans Association, we have 3 points that we use to encourage veteran voting. The first one, and this is the one I predominantly work on, is through education. Through our grassroots outreach, our weekly meetings, and our email updates, we work to educate and inform veterans on policy issues that directly affect them. An informed veteran is going to be a voting veteran. Data utilization. We work with specialized software that allows us to directly connect with the veterans via phone and coordinate nonpartisan get out the vote efforts. In addition to that, while we're on the phone with the veterans, we can ask them, do you have a barrier to getting to the polls on election day? And if they do, we can partner them with volunteers who will help give them rides to the polls for election day. In 2022, we reached over 30,000 veterans with our Get Out the Vote efforts. That's huge, that's huge. And finally, I think one of the most important things, and I want to thank the Secretary of State's office for what they've done on this, is election integrity. We work on recruiting veterans to be poll watchers. We believe that fair and safe elections are vital, and who better than to have veterans as poll watchers? We support the Secretary of State's office in election integrity efforts. And finally, I just want to do a little anecdote on that. Last week, I was at the Missoula County Fair. That's where I'm based out of. And I was helping register voters. And you know, the best tool for veterans and new voters today is their smartphone. And I want to give a shout out to the Secretary of State's office, because now you can go to that website. You can quickly look to see, am I actively registered to vote? What district am I in? Who are my candidates? And how can I register if I'm not registered? That is eliminating barriers for veterans to get registered and be engaged in their local politics. That is important. Finally, I want to leave a call to action to all of you here. As veterans in the audience, I'm calling on you again to serve your country by voting, but additionally, spreading the word to vet the vote. Get engaged. Show up at the polls, but also encourage your friends to become poll watchers or to work and get out the vote organizations. Join the MVA Coalition now and help us power the mission to vet the vote. Thank you.
What can the Secretary of State's office say? Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for speaking on the issues. That is precisely why we're here today. I'm so thankful for your partnership. Everything you said was very powerful to me and to many others in the room, and we really look forward to a partnership moving forward because our country needs us. Thanks for being here today.